Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Major 5 and what might well be one of the most important days of Call of Duty of the season so far. Not just in terms of Champs qualification, not just in terms of Major 5 victories, but also in terms of who's going to have momentum going into the big one in just a couple of weeks' time. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. So much to get into today. Firstly though, we've got to recap the drama of last night's series. This was a big one between Rokkr and Boston. Rokkr, if they won, would have secured World Championship qualification. Boston already had. I thought Rokkr would win, but wow, Boston again. They squander such a good opportunity. Fame, though, was a menace this series, and it's weird in a way that Fame and Bance, we talked about it being this duo, right? When Attach came in, I liked that move returning. I liked Fame to the SMG. It all made sense. But, you know, Afro being gone, Bance being there, it was a debate whether that was going to be good enough from a slaying department. Bance has been great lately, and Fame, who could have guessed, on the aggro sub, has been incredibly good. So it's a surprise to me that Rokkr didn't do this early, but I am happy they're at the World Championship because they actually can be a threat and a contender to top teams, which is frankly what I want to see. I want the 8 teams at Champs to have a chance to do something, and that's why I'm a little bit torn. Well, we'll see in this series tonight, but if Vegas beat Surge tonight and then don't make Champs, I'll feel a bit bad at that point, because it's almost like Surge don't deserve to make it. But if Vegas were to lose tonight, or were to just get bodied in a series they play over the next couple of days, if they do start to make a loser's run, then, you know, it is what it is, right? I want the 8 teams at Champs to actually be able to compete, and if Vegas is just going to get bodied by teams like FaZe every time they play them on LAN, then what's the point of them even being there, apart from the cool story about, you know, Vegas in Vegas? So they've got to prove to the community today that they belong at Champs, and it's still within their own hands, we'll get to, but Rokkr are now out of reach, largely thanks to this moment. So Boston up 2-1, they won the search, they won the control pretty impressively on aBeZy, good map for Rokkr, but Boston are great at that one, and then they start off this Fortress hardpoint, 127 to 87 at this point. They have good rotations. Okay, a couple of them just went dead, but they're up by 40 points. Awakening has a streak. He's 16 in 6. It's looking good for Boston, right? The way this game went so far, it seemed like a foregone conclusion. Boston were going to close this out, 3-1. It would have been a mega result. However, at this very moment, the game is ended and replayed. This was because I believe Bance especially was suffering from some lagging within the game itself. And this was actually quite a big talking point during yesterday in general, that maybe the servers or something with the setups wasn't exactly ideal, and it certainly happened in the last series. I mean, Boston were about to win, it looked pretty good for them, but okay, you can never guarantee it, but they play the replay, and as always happens in the replays, the team that does the break off, they have a better start than they previously did. Boston, they had a chance to win the replay anyway, but they didn't. It was like 250, 230. Beans was not happy, it took ages for them to resolve the issues, and yeah, Bance was probably lagging, there were probably some issues in the game, but, you know, fundamentally, the game is not great, and that's what frustrates this whole situation. Also, though, Boston were only like 20 points away from securing, I think if they get to 150, you're not allowed to replay it anymore, and the person or the team that was winning just wins, because if it's like 249 to 200, like, you know, you can't just replay that from 0, can ya? But at that point, with rotations, with streaks, it's just not great, is it, that things like that can be replayed, and it does raise the question, as Awakening will get onto, as to whether it's open for manipulation. I don't think there was manipulation in play, but it's open for manipulation, right, the way the rules work, especially because if you get to 150, the game can't be replayed, so, you know, they get to 130 and all of a sudden it's replayed, it does, you know, make you wonder a little bit, right? Now, in the end, Boston had a great chance here because it was 5-2 down they were here in this series. They almost brought it back, they went to 5-5, and then just a classic Boston collapse, to be honest, in round 11, like, they did not play well here, but that confirms both of these teams through to the World Championship, because now neither Rokkr nor Boston can be passed by both Surge and Vegas, which is enough for them to secure World Championship qualification. And honestly, this was a must-win for Rokkr just because of the storylines. They talked all this, and understandably, about Boston using the sound equalization thing, even on LAN when they played them, so they had to, when the sound EQ was turned off, and this major actually get the job done, because otherwise it would have been pretty embarrassing for Rokkr. So they did get over the line, but the way they did so was highly controversial. Now, of course, as a community, we've been ragging on Boston a fair bit lately, right, for some of the sound EQ tactics they've been doing, and I think it's hurt their reputation to a certain extent, and Attach does get a slice of the pie here, at least in terms of qualifying for the World championship, but as Awakening says shortly afterwards, lagging on LAN to force a replay when we are up 40 with a streak. Obviously still on us, we lost those last 2 maps, but that is just absurd. GG's, I guess. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, and you can understand it, like, this is karma, right? You know, for using the Saudi Q, now you get cheesed on back, unlucky, which maybe is fair enough, but it also does raise the question. I mean, Awakening is effectively accusing Bance of making this up, isn't he? Because he's saying, oh yeah, you were lagging on LAN to force a replay. Like, you know, very interesting statement from Awakening to, I think it was Bance on the other side that was really suffering with the lagging, and there probably was something going on, but, you know, the fact that this system is open to abuse when there really is no good rule for this, and as long as they're not a 150, you can go for a full replay, it's just not ideal, right? So in the end, Minnesota, they clutch up, they win that game 5 round 11. This was actually the screenshot I got from the broadcast here of Bance turning around, talking to the referee just after the game had been paused and was going to be replayed after a quite substantial break once they figured it out. But yeah, incredible stuff. So Bance, I think he even mentioned on kind of in one of the press conferences here that he was almost going to get dropped from the team when they were making roster changes, and potentially a few weeks ago when they were trying different things out. But since then, and ever since Bance, like whenever he's put under pressure, he always seems to deliver. So these are some of the numbers. Obviously, if that game 4 would have happened as it was going to, it would have been a very different story. But again, it was Fame and Bance that were really turning heads this series, and it was very impressive to see that. So Rokkr make champs, I think deservedly so. They are a team right now that can compete and contend, and that means, to be honest, it's embarrassing for Seattle Surge that if they do qualify, as they still probably will, are the last team to qualify, to be honest, right? The fact that it's Boston and Rokkr have got there ahead of Surge, given how good they were earlier on and how good they should be, is pretty embarrassing. And they could still lose, and Vegas have it in their own hands. If they were to beat Surge and knock them out, and then Vegas were to make a run, they can still make this tournament happen. So if Surge beat Vegas, that's job done. That's a big series, of course, tonight. But if Vegas win, they will still need to win 2 more series. They're not the hardest series in the world, actually, because I don't think they will play the OpTic Thieves side of the bracket until they get all the way further down the line. So it's definitely possible, but it's far from easy. I would give it maybe a 20% chance right now. Maybe that's even stretching it. Also, some other drama last night, though, going on between FaZe, Santana. Every time this guy says something, he's getting roasted for it, and I can understand why. He was going on stream talking about how, like, the OGs in FaZe, none of them are there anymore, and I just thought it was, a lot of people were talking about this. I thought I'd mention it at the very least, because he comes out with really disappointed in some people I call friends hating on the new FaZe recruits, especially girls in the gaming community. You were never an OG FaZe member, you'll say is biased and irrelevant. Where are they right now? Like, and you know, we had Banks respond to this, we had Rain respond to this, and other kind of OGs saying, damn, you know, you're telling us how to behave, like, you know, the entire FaZe that we knew has been gutted out and all this stuff. And even Doug St. Martin gets on the act here, right? So he tweets this out because everything got deleted afterwards, as you know how it goes. But yeah, so Doug is like, yeah, he did the same thing with me to Rain. Didn't you drop 4 kills in a scrim? Yeah, I've also dropped 5 in a match, 7 in a pickup game too, but I've also won the first 2 championships ever for FaZe and 2 more outside of FaZe. What is your contribution to FaZe that makes you feel like you can disrespect the people who've paved the way for you to make a career? So Doug absolutely wrecked him on that one, and so much so that Santana deleted everything and backtracked and said, oh yeah, apologies bros, to all the OGs that I disrespected. So comedy stuff from Santana as always, and you know, I just thought it was pretty good from Doug, to be fair. Let's talk then about how the series play out for today, because the Mutineers game was remarkable last night. Of course, they squared up on Fortress Hardpoint, they got the job done. This was definitely an image that preceded an unfortunate event. Huke got the glasses on. I mean, it's kind of, I do find it kind of funny in a way how there's always got to be some sort of scapegoat to either it's Karma, right? Because now Karma's back in the team, so there's a new scapegoat there, the head coach. Obviously, Huke's glasses, people were saying, oh, like, he needs to get the glasses off, like, he throws better without them. So, I mean, man, it was a remarkable series yesterday that OpTic just could not get a foothold in, and it's going to get even harder today, theoretically, because they play some of their boogeymen in the Los Angeles Thieves. And as Doug says, the fact that OpTic plays Thieves round 1 of losers when they just played each other in grand final tells me we need a major format change, which maybe is true, and he's given some alterations. Fundamentally, though, this is how it goes. Thieves played badly online, they start in losers. Just because they made the finals of the previous event, I don't think should guarantee anything. OpTic were 5-0, like, they were looking good. They had the best seed, and therefore they played theoretically the best first round game. I don't really think there's anything wrong with the format. I think this is just how it goes. But when you've only got 12 teams, there's only so much you can do. 16 teams works way better for brackets and groups and all this stuff than 12 does, unfortunately. But it's just one of those things. But look, fundamentally, one of these teams has got to win, one of them's got to lose, and one of them's going to go out top 12, which also will happen to either Surge or Vegas. As Clay says, sucks that they got smoked by FaZe, but they were always going to. We're not out yet, though. Still control our destiny. This is the key point here, that they know coming into today that if they can win series over the next couple of days, they can still make it to the World Championship, but that is their goal. But man, Thieves versus OpTic for top 8. I mean, the winner gets top 8, loser gets top 12. As Octane's like toilet bowl tomorrow, right? So battle for top 12 is between the two previous grand finalists. And I mean, look, we know how well Thieves typically play against OpTic Texas. And there were rumours going around yesterday with the scrims that were happening behind the scenes at the event that Florida were looking good, OpTic weren't looking so good, Thieves were looking very good. So it's really interesting to think about. And honestly, you know, Kenny, I'm sure, and Octane and Envoy and these guys, like, and Drazah as well, like, they live for moments like this to try and take on a wounded OpTic and make a loser's bracket run. Historically, Thieves have done phenomenally well in losers bracket runs, but so have OpTic, right? Whenever they lose in winners, they usually go on to win at least a few series in losers. But against Thieves, that's a hard start to that task. And also, out of the 30 teams that have lost winners round 1 in the CDL era, only one of them has gone on to win the actual major. So teams are 1 in 29 when trying to achieve this. Huke was on the Guerrillas when they did it at Major 2 last year. But yeah, OpTic, can they do it? It very rarely happens that a team loses winners round 1 and goes on to win. But yeah, Huke has experience doing it, but it's going to really start today. And if they do place top 12, I mean, either team that places top 12, it's just an awful start to their run through to the championship, right? Because historically, whoever wins the final major before champs has a very good chance of going back to back. And if you don't place well just before champs, it really can mess up your, you know, your headspace and your preparation. So such an important series today, because whoever comes top 12, their chances of winning champs, I think, are drastically reduced as a result, just because of what it means for the prep. So this is the brackets, man, and we're going to go back to the winners bracket, of course, on Saturday, but today it's going to be 5 losers games. OpTic, Thieves, Breach, London, Vegas, Surge, Subliners, Guerrillas, and then there's going to be one more game, I believe, between these two in winners round 2 up here as well. And there was some drama about this because we somehow managed to go backwards in terms of a format, because last time what they did is they listened to the criticism that the final game of the day is played between the first guys that played of the day, and what they did instead was change the bracket so that the final game in losers round 2 was between the winners of the second and the third series of the day. Initially they had this that Vegas, if they won, or Surge, would have to play back to back in the final game as well, and they said, alright, let's change that around. So instead they've gone for this approach where it's first and third game, but it means that London or Boston, if they win, have to wait around the entire day to play their final series. So the winner to me of OpTic and Thieves will probably win this final series as well and will secure themselves top 6. But what a day. I mean, I want London to get a series win, it'd be quite fun, but I think Boston will edge it, and then I've got to take Subliners over the Guerrillas. Honestly, I think Thieves are going to beat OpTic today. I don't know what I'm thinking about this one. It's 50-50 to some people, but you know, it just feels like Thieves should have the edge there. And then I'm going to take Vegas to beat Surge as well. I actually think they are the better team, but I don't know if they're going to make a run further beyond that, but we'll see how it goes. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.